It's opening day, and the stadium is electric. The crowd is roaring, the excitement palpable, and somehow, heartbreak is already on the menu. Of course, the Cleveland Browns had to kick off the season in the most Cleveland Browns way possible, with a gut-wrenching loss that felt almost cinematic. Missed kicks, fumbles, last-second collapses, you know the drill. It's like someone handed them the ultimate guide to emotional destruction, and they followed it to perfection. But then, things got interesting. If you want the full story, the messy, behind-the-scenes chaos the highlight reels won't show, hit that subscribe button. For anyone watching the Browns QB drama unfold in real time, staying subscribed isn't optional. While most fans were either spiraling on Twitter or staring into the void, wondering why they even care, one player on the sidelines wasn't breaking down. And no, it's not some veteran delivering a classic locker room pep talk. This isn't about a seasoned veteran. It's about a rookie backup quarterback, yes, rookie Shedeur Sanders. Not the starter. Not even playing. And yet somehow, he became the embodiment of composure and leadership in a game that felt like it was held together with duct tape and sheer denial. Let's take a step back. For the uninitiated, the Cleveland Browns aren't just a football team, they're a decades-long saga of soaring highs, elite talent, and gut-wrenching collapses. Think of them as the Greek tragedy of the NFL. Every season promises potential. Every season comes with hype. And every season finds a brand new, devastating way to fall apart. Blown leads. Locker room meltdowns. Front office soap operas. Losses that defy all logic. It's not just a pattern, it's a lifestyle. So when the Browns took the field for their season opener against the Bengals, fans were cautiously hopeful. Keyword, cautiously. The roster was stacked, there was veteran leadership. Young stars ready to shine. Analysts even predicting playoff contention. For a brief, glittering moment, it felt like it might all click. And then, reality did what it always does in Cleveland. It hit hard. The game quickly turned into a masterclass in self-sabotage, dropped passes, missed reads, untimely penalties. And then came the moment destined to go viral. The rookie kicker, visibly shaken, missed not one, but two crucial kicks. The second was a dagger straight to the heart. You could see it in real time, the stadium sank, the sidelines froze, and the cameras locked on a kicker who looked like he wanted to disappear entirely. That's when Shedeur Sanders stepped in and did something no one expected, because nobody was truly paying attention to who he is. While others looked away or buried their heads, Sanders walked straight over to the rookie kicker. He said something no one could hear and simply stood there, calm, steady, unshaken. No pep talk. No hype. Just presence. A quiet reminder that one mistake doesn't define you, that you're still part of the team, that someone's got your back. It was subtle. Not flashy. But it was exactly what that moment needed. And let's be real, this isn't the kind of thing you expect from a rookie, especially one who hadn't even touched the field. That's what made it matter even more. Sanders had nothing to prove. No camera time to chase. No performative leadership to show off. He just led the right way, silently, genuinely, and perfectly for that moment. He just was. And in Cleveland, where emotional chaos is usually the default setting, that kind of calm, that's gold. We've seen plenty of Browns quarterbacks come and go, first-round picks, hotshot transfers, backups turn starters, then trade bait. A revolving door of sky-high expectations, and even faster exits. What's always missing, though, is emotional consistency. The ability to lead when everything is falling apart, not with stats, but with presence. And suddenly, here comes Shedeur Sanders. Not even starting. Yet showing more poise than some veterans with full careers under their belts. It's giving serious future franchise quarterback energy. And this isn't about mechanics or arm strength. It's about mindset, leadership, the kind of thing you can't teach, because the Browns' problem isn't talent. It never has been. From Myles Garrett to Nick Chubb to Amari Cooper, the roster has plenty of stars. But when the pressure hits, when a game is on the line, that's when the mental cracks appear. And for decades, that's exactly how it's gone. The missed kicks. The fumbles. The prevent defense that somehow prevents nothing. This isn't just bad luck, it's cultural. It's baked into the organization like a cursed family recipe. Other teams stumble, sure, but they rebound. The Dolphins. The Falcons. Even the Giants. Rough patches happen, but they recover. Cleveland? They just loop. Which is why that moment with Sanders hit differently. For once, someone didn't spiral. Someone didn't flinch. He stood firm in the storm, offering calm instead of chaos. And the reactions came fast. Fans started asking if Sanders should see more reps, analysts praised his maturity. Even teammates reposted the clip, calling out real leadership. And make no mistake, this isn't about handing him the team tomorrow. It's about showing what true presence looks like in a city that hasn't seen it in years. Let's be real, it's about the identity this team wants going forward. Do they want to stay the punchline? The almost team? Or do they want to start building something sustainable, something that doesn't crumble the minute the script goes off book? Enter Joe Flacco, another wildcard in this equation. The veteran QB with icy calm and Super Bowl experience. A guy who's seen it all and doesn't get rattled. You've got him offering steady leadership, and now Sanders bringing that same energy as a rookie. That's the kind of locker room chemistry you can't ignore. Here's the truth no one wants to admit: talent alone won't save you from collapse. Culture does. Resilience does. Emotional maturity does. You can have the fastest wideouts, the hardest hits, the cleverest schemes, but if your kicker misses a game winner and your team falls apart emotionally, what was the point? It's never been about the highlight reel, it's about the moments no one clips. It's about who can reset. Who can lift each other up in the worst moments. Who doesn't turn on their teammates. That's how you build a team that doesn't just win, but stays winning, and maybe, just maybe, that's where Cleveland's story starts to change. Not with a blockbuster trade. Not with a fancy new scheme. But with a simple moment on the sideline, a backup quarterback placing his hand on a teammate's shoulder, silently saying, "We're still in this." It's small, but that's exactly where change begins. We're not handing Shedeur Sanders the keys to the city just yet. But you can't ignore that spark. Call it leadership. Call it presence. Call it whatever you want. He's got it. And in a franchise built on so many almosts, that might be the most important thing they've seen in years. So, is this the start of a new chapter? Maybe. Or maybe it's just one bright moment in a sea of chaos. But if you're a Browns fan, aren't you tired of the chaos? Don't you want something different? Finally, the kicker will move on. The loss will fade. The season will roll forward. But that moment, that quiet act of leadership? That sticks. It's the kind of thing that tells you who's ready to lead when no one else is. And in Cleveland, that might be more valuable than any touchdown. So here's your fake award of the week. Most valuable vibe stabilizer goes to Shedeur Sanders for proving that leadership doesn't require playing time, just presence, poise, and the guts to stand tall while everyone else is falling apart. Will this spark a culture shift in Cleveland? Or will it be another bright moment swallowed by a season of what-ifs? And if you're emotionally invested in this beautiful disaster of a franchise like we are, hit that subscribe button. This moment with Sanders wasn't loud. It didn't demand headlines. It wasn't even meant to go viral. But it did. Because when everything else is spiraling, the kicker missing field goals, the crowd booing, your season opener already feeling like a funeral, people notice the one guy who keeps his composure. Let's be honest. The Browns have been chasing saviors for decades. Maybe, just maybe, this time it's not about stats, or trades, or highlight reels. Maybe it's about presence. And Sanders showed that in spades. Quarterbacks, coaches, coordinators, even mascots. Every few seasons, a new face of the franchise shows up like a reboot of a bad sitcom. Promises, sound bites, hype, and every time, it crashes into the same wall: pressure. Real gut-churning, soul-stealing pressure. That's where Cleveland football goes to die. You don't beat it with slogans or jersey sales, you beat it with mental steel, and then Sanders delivers a moment that makes you pause. Wait, that kid gets it. Maybe it's the Dion DNA coming through. Let's not forget who Shedeur's dad is, primetime himself, a charisma machine loaded with championship rings and swagger for days. Shedeur grew up around pressure, media storms, and the expectation to show up with poise no matter what. He's been trained in psychological warfare since birth. So yeah, it makes sense that while the rest of the sideline looked like a disaster movie stuck on pause, he was moving with clarity. But still, pedigree aside, this wasn't just learned behavior. You could feel it, this moment wasn't rehearsed. No PR polish. Just raw, unfiltered leadership. And that's the part you can't teach. Here's the irony, he's not even supposed to be leading it. But that's exactly why it hits so hard. True leadership doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't need a title. It doesn't care about the depth chart. Leadership just acts. Now, think about that kicker for a second. That poor kid probably had the longest night of his life. Miss a game-winning kick in the NFL, and it haunts you. Replays on every sports show. Memes. Breakdown analysis like a crime scene. And as a rookie? It hits even harder. It's not just a miss, it feels like a message, you might not belong. That's the unspoken psychology of the NFL. One bad moment can stain your reputation before you even get a chance to build one. So when Shedeur put his hand on that kicker's shoulder, he wasn't just offering comfort. He was rewriting the narrative. He was saying, not today. You're not spiraling. This moment doesn't define you. That's powerful. That's rare, especially in a league where every man is fighting for his job, and most rookies are just trying to survive, not lead. And now imagine what happens if that energy spreads. To imagine a Browns team that doesn't collapse every time momentum shifts. A team that doesn't eat its young. A team that doesn't fold the moment the national spotlight gets hot. Imagine a team where losses sting, but don't break you. Let's be honest, the loss to the Bengals was brutal. Classic Browns collapse. And the worst part? We've seen it over and over. The game plan starts sharp. Talent flashes. Then, boom. Penalty. Turnover. Missed assignment. Missed kick. A checklist of doom. By the fourth quarter, the Browns weren't just playing the Bengals, they were playing their own ghosts. And those ghosts? The real enemy. The trauma of past failures. The expectation of collapse. The mental weight of here we go again. That's not fixed with a new offensive coordinator. That takes cultural surgery. That takes moments like the one Shedeur Sanders created. Because culture? Culture is built in the unscripted moments, the ones no highlight reel can capture, when the camera pans to the sideline and catches someone stepping up, not because it's their job, but because they can't not. That's the seed of something different. Sure, people will roll their eyes. He's a rookie. Didn't even play. Calm down. But that cynicism is exactly what keeps bad teams stuck. If you don't recognize leadership when it starts, you'll never benefit when it grows. And Cleveland has had enough of starting over. Enter Joe Flacco. His presence matters too. Rings on his fingers. Wars fought. He knows how fast this league chews up quarterbacks. Right now, he's more than a bridge QB, he's a mirror. A mirror for Sanders, showing what long-term professionalism looks like. How to stay calm. How to win ugly. How to lose with dignity and come back with fire. That's the mentorship every rookie hopes for, quiet, steady, and real. And now? You've got Flacco's experience on one end and Shedeur's emotional intelligence on the other. That's balance. That's a foundation. It's like Cleveland accidentally stumbled into something good while everything else burned. But here's the test, will the organization actually recognize it? Because the Browns have a long history of misreading their own story. They chase short-term hype, and often, that's where it all falls apart. They overcorrect. They panic. If there's a fork in the road between chaos and growth, they usually pick chaos, and act surprised when it bites them. But this time? They have a choice. They can shrug off Shedeur's moment, cool, nice gesture. Or they can see it for what it really is, this is what we need more of. Not just from him, but from everyone: linemen, coaches, front office. Rebuild the culture from the inside out. And it starts with moments like this: calm in chaos, support in failure, poise under pressure. That's the blueprint. For the fans? Bless them. This might be the first glimmer of something real in a long time. Not another hype train, not another flashy free agent, but something internal. Something that actually holds up under stress. Poetic, isn't it? In a city known for emotional sports trauma, the thing that might change everything was a quiet act of empathy. Not a touchdown. Not a Hail Mary. A shoulder tap. A steady gaze. A rookie reminding another rookie, this doesn't break you, maybe it won't change the standings. Maybe the Browns still go 7-10. Maybe the season still spirals. But if that leadership sticks, if it becomes the norm instead of the exception, that's how you actually change a losing franchise. Not overnight. Not with slogans. But with moments. Moments that say, we're not doing this the old way anymore. So, if you're still watching, still rooting, still hoping for a Cleveland team that doesn't implode every December, maybe this is the sign you've been waiting for, not a miracle. Not a savior. Just a guy doing the right thing when no one told him to. That's what leadership really is. That's what winners are made of. And if the Browns are smart, they'll build around it, not just Shedeur, but the energy he brought. Because in the NFL, you don't just need arms and legs. You need hearts. And Cleveland might finally have one that beats under pressure. Even the most diehard Browns fan, painted dog mask in the middle of winter kind of fan, felt that familiar twist in their gut during that game. That oh so Cleveland sensation, your team is close, so close, and then the universe taps you on the shoulder, hey, remember who you are? And boom. Collapse. Again, it's not just a loss. It's ritual. A spiritual reckoning with every bad draft pick, every cursed snap, every rebuild that came with promises and ended with excuses. And in that moment, when the kicker missed, when the crowd deflated, when the players looked like they'd aged a decade in 5 minutes, Cleveland fans weren't just reacting to the present, they were haunted by the past, because that's the real opponent. It's not the Bengals. It's not Joe Burrow. It's the Browns' own history. The emotional residue of being that team. The one everyone expects to fumble the bag. The team you can always count on to let you down in the most cinematic way possible. So when Shedeur Sanders stepped in, not as a hero, not as a savior, but as a teammate, it wasn't just a gesture. It was a crack in the cycle. A small rupture in the doom loop. He didn't yell. He didn't posture. He just showed up with empathy and presence, the kind of thing this franchise has been starving for, because here's what usually happens in those moments: the locker room goes cold. Players retreat into corners. Coaches throw veiled blame in post-game pressers. And the media? It starts its favorite Cleveland tradition, pointing fingers and counting down to the next meltdown. Anonymous quotes, Twitter drama, cryptic Instagram posts, it's like a breakup every time, but in pads, and that's what made Shedeur's calm so disruptive. No drama. Just solidarity. The emotional opposite of what usually defines the Browns, and if you're paying attention, that's exactly why it matters. Talent comes and goes. Players get traded. Coaches get fired. But culture? Culture lingers. It infects everything. Right now, the Browns' culture is like a haunted house built on a landfill of broken dreams. The good news? Culture can be changed, but not by accident, and not by waiting for the next big signing. It takes real, day-to-day leadership. The kind that shows up in small moments. The kind that isn't flashy. The kind that says, we're not turning on each other. We're turning toward each other. Shedeur Sanders in that moment wasn't just backing a teammate. He was modeling the shift this team desperately needs. And here's the kicker, he's not supposed to be the guy. Not even on our radar. He's a backup rookie QB who, under normal circumstances, would be holding a clipboard and silently watching the chaos like the rest of us, but here's the thing about the NFL, sometimes the most important plays don't happen on the field. Sometimes the leadership that defines your future starts in the middle of a loss, when no one's watching, when no one's supposed to care. That's the moment that tells you who's really built for this. Now, we don't know what Shedeur's path will look like. Maybe he becomes the face of the franchise. Maybe he bounces around as a backup. Or maybe he flames out like so many young QBs do, but right now, he just planted something that could grow into a new identity for this team. A Browns squad that doesn't panic. A team that has each other's backs in the worst moments. A team that knows how to lose without falling apart, and that last one? That's the real key. Every team loses. Every team has bad games. But only the worst teams let those losses define their character. That's been Cleveland's biggest enemy all along. Not talent. Not injuries. Mental fragility. You can't scheme your way out of that. You have to toughen up as a unit, as a mindset, and it starts in the quiet, almost invisible, sideline moments like this one. Maybe we're reading too much into it. Maybe we're just hungry for hope. But if you've followed this team long enough, you know how rare it is to see anything resembling emotional stability in the middle of a storm. It's not just leadership. It's emotional fluency, the ability to feel the weight of the moment and not collapse under it. That's what separates good teams from cursed ones. That's what can turn a rebuild into a renaissance, and if Shedeur's actions are a sign of how this new Browns era operates, then maybe, just maybe, we're witnessing the first flickers of real change. Let's not forget they have the tools. Top-tier defensive pieces. Veterans like Flacco, who've stared down defeat in the biggest games and didn't blink. They've got the raw talent to win games. But none of it matters if the locker room unravels the moment adversity strikes. So yes, let's celebrate poise. Let's notice the small, quiet gestures. Let's overanalyze a rookie QB putting his hand on a kicker's shoulder, because maybe that's exactly what it takes to break the curse. Maybe the shift doesn't come from a Hail Mary. Maybe it doesn't come from a blockbuster trade. Maybe it comes from players choosing connection over chaos, over and over again, because that's how culture actually changes, one calm decision at a time. If the Browns turn it around this year, next year, or whenever, this could be one of those moments we look back on, a throwaway second that sparks something bigger, the calm before a very different storm. But for now, it's just one game, one loss, and a whole season ahead. Cleveland fans know the feeling, hopeful, exhausted, waiting for something real. And maybe they don't need a miracle. Maybe they just need more moments like this. Because when everything falls apart, and the ghosts of past seasons start whispering in your ear, the person who quietly stands beside you and says, "You're still in this," that's the one who might rewrite the story. So, what do you think? Is this the start of something real, or just another blip in the endless reel of Cleveland chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is one drama we're all watching unfold together. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because the Browns never stay quiet for long. From poetic collapses to unexpected comebacks, to sideline heroics from rookie quarterbacks, we'll be here breaking it all down, one emotional roller coaster at a time.